All right, PB is in the house today for part of the episode. We got the editor in the building and Jack to my left as well.
Yes, sir.
I'm seated here comfortably on this little tiny ottoman footrest thing, but great pod today. Starting off the episode with a little Jordan Robles interview, talking mostly about the first half, a little bit of All-Star Game talk.
Yep, great interview.
He's just been so good.
Great interview,
so,
yep.
He earned that one for sure. People ask me in the league, like, Landon, I think, recently was like, can I be in the pod, Tom? I'm like, you got to earn it. You got to earn the invite. You got to play good.
Landon's maybe earned it.
No, he's been good, but you got to be the guy for
You got to be the guy,
Or in Jordan's case, for a first half, you know? So,
or just show up.
or just show up.
Or just be here.
Or miss a flight and just be present. That's also
that's
a way.
right.
Hey, if you, a guaranteed way to get on the show is to offer to be present at
That's
the show
right.
in the studio. So that's another pro tip for the MLW players. But now, glad to have PB and Jordan on today. We're talking about, again, Jordan's first half, the All-Star Game. Fuzzy Numbers is back this week. Frank is back, and he's got something to say about it as well.
That was an interesting one. Caught up on our Waffle House bet.
Yeah, that's big because now we're getting into crunch time here for the Waffle House bet. So Slate 4 predictions coming at you, and then a quick little Cats versus Gators preview with Fuzzy Frank. So good episode. Stay tuned, and this is the Pipe It Up podcast. Cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. You got Jack and Tom in the studio again today, and we are joined by Mr. Jordan Robles, Cy Young frontrunner himself out of the Midwest Mallards Clubhouse. Jordan, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me. Big fan of the Pipe It Up podcast.
Jordan, what would the betting odds be right now for you to win the Cy Young at this point in the season, do you think, if we had those in MLW?
As an avid gambler, probably 350, minus 350, I would say.
Wow.
You can't count out
Basically a lock.
Can't count out Dallas. 3-1. Now, mind you, though, we're halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole second half to play. So, is this a trap bet? 3-1 odds. Whole second half. I don't know, but
Not great value.
I was gonna say I don't really gamble, but that doesn't sound like a lot of value. It sounds like a lock, but
exactly, it's not a lot of value, and it sounds like a lock, but it's not a lot of value. So in order to profit at minus 350 odds, I'd have to bet 700 to win 200, which that's not logical. Do not make that bet.
Yeah,
but
not
just a gambler in me, just the economical guy.
That's right. Well, as your manager, as your teammate, I couldn't be happier with those odds, I'd say. And I think the Mallards fans would agree with that.
yeah.
But it's just interesting to me because this is your third season now. You've been our ace in all 3 of those years. You're pitching 2 games a series very consistently. And I feel like on the surface, like your arsenal hasn't really changed that much. You've kind of always been 2-seam, slide drop, and riser, but the 2-seam's gotten better, and you've definitely gotten more confident with it. So, before we even talk about the All-Star Game and that experience, but talking about just this year and how you started the year, why do you think, what's been the turning point for you mentally or physically? How have you gone from Cy Young candidate the last couple of years to now Cy Young frontrunner?
I would say the past 2 years, I threw the ball too slow, meaning I would probably max out at 71 or 70 if I was throwing the 2-seamer, whereas I still have the 73. So this season really just focusing on trying to stay around 70. And if I'm really gassing it up, try and hit that 73. And I've been doing that, I would say, a lot more this year. The 2-seamer specifically, that's the one pitch where despite the ball, even if the ball's not great that day, I still can get it to break in. Maybe not as much as other days, but the slide drop, there could be days where it's not sliding and it's not really dropping. So that's just a home run ball or almost like a riser. But just trusting the 2-seam and throwing it harder forces it to get that little bit of movement that I need. And honestly, there's times where I don't know where it's going. I have a general idea. So if I don't know where it's going to end up, I know the hitter doesn't know that either. So even if they're sitting on it, it's different every time. So I just hope it avoids bats, I would say, and just let it do its thing.
What kind of strategies do you use? I mean, you mentioned the speed limit and not throwing as hard, but your background is in fast pitch, so you're used to kind of throwing harder even than what MLW rules allows. So I guess how do you manage the speed limit and the warnings and such like that we have?
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating when I go over the speed limit. Tommy probably knows this. Like I nothing makes me more angry than when I go over the speed limit, especially with a pitch that I genuinely feel like I wasn't trying to gas it up. But the radar gun reads different pitches different ways. So that's
Yeah.
a whole nother topic. So luckily for me, like in New York, we have Golden Stick Wiffle Ball League, which is kind of medium pitch. So I've played in that since 2012. I would say the speed's a little bit slower, but you have knifed wiffle ball, so you have way more movement, and it's two strikes. Um, so like that little experience definitely taught me that I got to change my movement. I got to throw different pitches, just like try and jam guys and try and just throw whatever pitch they're not sitting on in a way. And as I say that in MLW, my arsenal's 90% two seamer, but just learning how to read swings, how to read hitters, and just like trying to get people out and avoid throwing the pitches that get hit over the fence. So I would say thanks to that background, it's kind of helped me, but it's very frustrating. Like being forced to throw the ball slow, and especially knowing where I don't have a lot of movement on it that day, I just know like, well, here's a cookie. But you got to get better. You know what I mean? Like you got to figure it out because there's guys that figure it out. So I'm still trying to figure it out as I speak.
I mean, I don't think a .2 ERA really reflects throwing cookies.
No, I was gonna say his like 71 grooving it in there looks like a cookie to him. To me, I'm just trying to put I'm trying to make contact.
It's like Jack's trying to hit a little tiny BB.
Right.
Jordan's like, here's a cookie.
Yeah, looks like a golf ball.
But no, I mean, I like empathize with it a little bit because like I see the frustration in Jordan when he's struggling with the speed limit, right? And it's honestly amazing that you're able to do as good as you do, because to me, it almost seems like you're like natural, like not trying to throw hard, not trying to throw slow, like just let me groove it in there. To me, you're grooving it in there is like 75, 76. So he's like, I mean, am I right in that assumption?
Yeah, like one of the things that helps me with the two seamer is that I throw it with a finger ball. So I wish I had a wiffle ball. Hold on, one second here. Let me grab it.
I was gonna grab a little prop. Right. Love
there
that.
There you go.
Love that. Yeah, it's to me, it's so hard to slow your body down.
Yeah.
Like trying to throw a changeup is hard in baseball because it's all about the grip, right? It's how you get the ball to slow down. But like Jordan, even his fastball, like his fastball motion and release it's too fast. So know, like it's like trying to slow down and aim, but he's still doing it so well. It is impressive.
Go ahead and show us, Jordan.
Yeah, so I'll say I put my finger inside of the ball. I hope this comes out well. So this, when I release it and I flick, kind of like that little flick slows the ball down. But not only does it slow the ball down, it's also going to make it move left to right more, like into a righty's hands. So just figuring out a finger ball and getting that, like, it allows my arm speed to be almost closer to fast pitch, but the ball comes out of my hand because I'm flicking it and slowing it down that little bit around 70. Like I would really, really have to amp it up and not flick it as much to go over the speed limit.
How does your finger not get stuck in the ball? Or like do you ever throw any where the ball just goes like straight into the ground or something because it gets stuck on your finger?
Yeah, so like I'm not gonna lie to you. I've always known about throwing finger balls. Josh Pagano, my teammate on the Phenoms, he was kind of the guy that invented it. So on the East Coast, it's always been big. Yeah, it took me 10 years to learn how to throw a finger ball. I'm not like it took me playing medium pitch in yard where I was forced to throw the ball slow to really figure out just like that last little bit, just flicking your finger out and not letting it get caught inside. Because when I first started, like you're saying, I wouldn't be able to get my finger out and it would just go straight down or never where I wanted. But just like throwing it and trusting that it'll truly roll off your finger definitely helps a lot. And if you can learn that little bit, that finger ball, you're going to be like, if you're here, you're going to be way up there. You just learned a whole nother arsenal of pitches just by doing that little thing. It slows, creates a changeup, creates more movement. So finger ball is definitely a huge asset.
There you go. Start practicing now, kids.
Nice little live demo there. I like that. Yeah. Ryan's throwing that pitch. I think Dallas tries to throw it. It's definitely made its way, like you said, from the East Coast over now to MLW, and it's become like the new era these last 2 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know where we go from here as a league on the mound, but the two seam is definitely like the latest and greatest and the cool thing.
It is like, I have to say, like it's so hard for my brain to comprehend the fact that like grooving it in there is like a 74, 76 for Jordan. Cause like,
I don't get it either.
I'll like get out there, like, you know, before the series, just messing around, obviously not with no plans to pitch, but just throw a couple pitches out there cause it's fun, with the pocket radar set up. And I'm like struggling to hit 60 miles an hour. Like, I feel like my arm is going to like fall off, like hitting 60 miles an hour, throwing that ball.
It's funny. We all have different strengths. I mean, even me, like, I can tell you one thing. I feel like I was born like pretty athletically gifted. Like, I was always like pretty athletic kid, very active, could play a lot of different sports, at least like, you know, in a fun setting, competitive setting.
Yeah.
And one thing I was not born with a natural ability to do is throw a ball hard. Like, and that's coming from a high school pitcher. You know, I pitched my whole life and through varsity, and me throwing as hard as I could with a wiffle ball or a baseball was like 81 or 82. Like, that was it. And Jordan does that like it's nothing. It's like, how is that possible? But it's just like your release, the way you grip it, the flexibility of your body, and the separation you can create. Like, I just didn't have that. Despite working on it, trying to get better, like, that was still as good as I got. So I can watch Jordan just flick up an 85-mile-per-hour fastball. I can crow hop and launch a wiffle ball as hard as I can. The gun's like 80. And I'm like, how are you throwing it that fast, that effortlessly? It's crazy. But a lot of guys in MLW can. Robles, Pearson can really throw it. Saylor can really throw it. Those three that I think of in MLW, I think that really can groove it if they want to.
Yeah.
I think Sawyer can kind of groove it a little bit too.
It's all about the mechanics. Yeah. Jordan, I wanted to ask you, you know, just in general, I mean, you mentioned frustrations with trying to control your speed out there on the mound, but have you felt frustrated this year pitching, you know, with an offense that hasn't necessarily been producing up to the levels I think, you know, both you guys would expect? I mean, with the numbers that you're putting up from a pitching standpoint, you guys, I mean, we'd have to have Sean run the numbies here, but if you had the offensive production you were getting last year, I mean, you guys might have won every game at this point, just with the way that, you know, you guys have been pitching. So I guess, you know, has there been frustration there, or how do you kind of keep your mind, you know, clear and focused on just the task at hand while you're out there when you're going through some of those offensive struggles?
Yeah, I would say as a part of the offense, I'm not doing my part as well. It's more frustrating this year offensively. Like, when I'm pitching, I'm trying to get 3 outs. I'm not worried about anything else. So I really separate. Like, I don't even think of I'm not getting run support, because I can deliver run support for myself too. Like, right. I have a chance. You know what I mean? There's 4 guys. If one guy gets on, I get an at bat every inning. So I would say just trying to figure out offensively. Getting on base. We've definitely had so many guys on. We've done like 90% of the work in terms of like setting the table for guys and just not getting that big hit. Just consistently not getting that big hit. It's amazing analytically how bad we've been probably with runners in scoring position this season. But yeah, that's baseball, Susan. You know what I mean? Like that's why we play the game. It's extremely difficult. So you go through these stretches. What was it, 2 years ago, Jimmy's team, the D-backs, they were 5-10 going into the playoffs. Like, statistically, probably shouldn't have even made it. You know what I mean? But they went on to win the league that year. So yeah, everyone goes through rough patches, rough spots. But you just got to click when in playoffs. You got to click when the time's right. So I'm just trying to keep that in mind, I would say.
Yeah, I think I mentioned, Jack, the lack of the home run ball has been the big killer for us. And honestly, not that he's struggling, like that's beside the point, but just thank God that Jordan does hit, because if Jordan was a PO like a Wallgate, for example, and our offense was this bad, I wouldn't have even blamed the guy for quitting at this point.
Right. Well,
it's been so bad.
I mean, I asked that, you know, because I think that it's, you know, worth the audience. Obviously, they're probably interested too, but like personally, I know for a fact that, you know, RJ out there being that pitcher only, it does come with a little bit different frustration, right? Because you don't have that ability to like go out there and be like, all right, if no one else is going to do it, like I'll get a home run or something like that. But, you know, I think we saw that in the Magic Mallard series where it's like, we're pretty similar teams in that respect, where we have pretty good bullpens. And this year we just have not got the execution, you know, big time plays when it's needed offensively, like at the plate. I mean, our averages aren't fantastic, but, you know, we've been doing a good enough job of getting on base and just, you know, having capitalized in those positions. But very similar teams.
Yeah. Jordan, we've talked a lot on this podcast, Jack and myself, about how objectively bad we are at this game at times. And just more so, we're struggling right now. You know, we're not bad. We're just going through a tough
rut.
Yeah, a little bit of a rut. So I'm curious, and it's not going to hurt my feelings at all. I'm just curious for your opinion. But what's your honest take amongst, we've seen it in the comment section about me, Tom, Coughlin, playing, not playing. What do you think we should go as a team there?
I think this is TC3's team. Obviously, like I said earlier, people go through rough patches. You look at Bryce Harper right now. He's in a horrifically bad slump. Courtesy to the Yankees. We swept them, but that's different anyways. But this game is extremely difficult. If you succeed 30% of the time, you're a Hall of Famer, right? Wiffle ball is even harder to hit than baseball. So you succeed 20% of the time. That's unbelievable. Now, you got to think, too, we play 15 games. So it's such a small sample size. Each game's only 3 innings. So there could be games you get 2 at-bats, you get 3 at-bats, and you're facing a game 1 ball Dallas. You're facing an RJ Walgate game 1 where they're just balls moving. They're doing whatever they want. I believe in Tommy Coughlin. I think Tommy should be in the lineup. It's weird not having Tommy hit behind me, I'd say. I think that you stick with your guns. Like, Tommy, the year that you had last year, the year you had before, the home run against the Eagles in the playoffs, like, you always hit the big home runs. But you got to get through, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not hitting great myself either. I'm not putting the ball over the wall, but I'm going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. So, I think you stay with your guns, you know?
Guns up, baby. Trust your guns. Let's go, Tom. This is what you need. You just need a Jordan pep talk before every series, and then you'll just be ready to go.
The New Yorkers,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, just be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough game, like you said, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. And speaking of that, I feel like we've ended our season on a down the last 2 years. And I just wanted to ask you, like, now you've gone through it twice, though. Like, you've gone through 2 different postseason series, both of them with a cool World Series on the line, not only because it's the World Series, but also, like, cool venue, you know, once-in-a-lifetime experience type thing. And we've fallen 1 game short both times. But, like, what do you think you've learned from those 2 years that will help you in this postseason, assuming we make it?
So losing game 3 of the semifinals to get to the World Series in SoFi, to get to Mercedes-Benz, what will I learn? I need to hit. Obviously I need to pitch better because I haven't gotten it done. We haven't won 2 games out of 3-game series both years. So I got to hit the ball. I got to throw donuts on the mound and just mentally try and stay, I guess, in tune with the chaos. Try and get to the state of Michigan the day of the game. Like, wake up there. Wake up. In the state
I
of
told
Michigan.
that story last year. Disaster.
Okay, yeah, I hate to be that guy, but whew, like it's been rough. The playoffs the last 2 years, just physically getting there.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to get it done. So, yeah, man. Like I won bigger. I don't want to say I've won bigger, but I've come through in big moments. I've come through in big spots, faced amazing. So, like, I'm at the point I'm ready to get a sports psychologist. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. I've been Googling people. I'm ready to get a hypnotize me. Like, just gotta put it all together that day.
It's hard.
Best like,
yeah,
it's hard. I don't have the answer, you know. Still trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
The NL is it's always interesting, man. I feel like in MLW in general, but the last few seasons, it seems like everything you thought was going to happen just doesn't happen on that side. So I'm excited. I think, you know, I'm always pulling for you guys. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I'm always pulling for the Mallards. But yeah, good luck. Good luck. Hopefully.
Thanks.
But you still got to make it.
We do.
You still got to make it. It's not a shoo-in for sure.
No, I mean, I talked about how I do think we're in a good spot right now at 5-4. We got 2 more wins than the Gators do at the break, so we're in a good spot. We got some tough opponents, Eagles and then the Cobras, who are both kind of trending in the right direction right now. So it won't be easy, but if we just take care of business, you know, we should find ourselves maybe even get into 1 seed again. We'll see. Yeah, that'd be a 3-peat. That'd be impressive. But before we let you go, Jordan, wanted to ask you real quick about the All-Star game, the All-Star break, as you just participated in both the game and the Derby, and just. It's a different vibe out there. You know, I've played in many of those games, not this year, unfortunately, but just how does pitching in the All-Star game, you think, compare to a normal regular season series outing at the Meadows?
I love it because you're facing the best competition in the league, like the best that the American League has to offer. And the intensity that the game brings, especially this year, with the AL having Drew and having all the Cobras, like just the chirping and every pitch, there's always something said. If a guy fouls it off, like you're all over that. You know what I mean? I love that intensity. So it was fun. It felt like I was close to being on the East Coast just with the chirping and the like chirping, but also the camaraderie at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it's all in good fun. And it makes it more enjoyable to play. Like it feels like there's way more on the line, like playing for that pride, playing for home field advantage, So, and we take pride, I know, in the NL and trying to win every year. So we feel like we are the better league. With that being said, though, the Magic won the World Series, so you can win the All-Star game, but in my mind, you got to win the ship. You got to win the World Series. So
that's right.
That's one thing in the NL we have to get done, which we didn't do last year.
All-Star game, doesn't mean a whole lot other than that little advantage in the World Series, but
some pride behind it too.
Still got to get it done. Obviously, we talked about like how, your arsenal in terms of the amount of pitches you throw isn't a ton compared to some of these guys in this league. But do you feel like, in that All-Star game that you're kind of holding back a little bit or not kind of, trying to mix it up more so than like what you normally do because you don't want to give stuff away, or are you just not even thinking about that, just going out to win?
I would say I know that since the level of skill of those players that I'm facing that day is up here, they already know what I'm going to throw. So more often than not, they're going to be sitting two-seamer. So definitely knowing that they're sitting that, trying to throw, like, I know I threw Kyle a riser changeup, which is a pitch I don't think I've ever thrown this year.
Yep.
So just trying, like, adjusting to the batter, knowing they're sitting on this pitch, throw something different. The riser changeup, it's coming up, obviously, but it's also slower than the two-seamer from a different arm slot. So once I throw that, I'm putting in his head, whoa, I've never seen that. Or I can throw the two-seamer, it starts inside half, breaks in on the hands. So just try and play mind games, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, definitely have to think more critically and just trying to show people things they haven't seen, because I know they're sitting on the two-seamer. They're sitting on the stuff that I conventionally throw.
Yeah. I definitely know it's not a result of the management, but why do you think the NL has had back-to-back blowout wins?
So I'll say this. I'll say that I feel the American League truly hasn't had their absolute best guys, like not having G. Millie in the AL lineup. He's going to produce some runs. There's, what is a 5-inning game? In a 5-inning game, he's going to produce some runs. This year, RJ Walgate wasn't there, one of the better arms. So just having a better turnout from the American League, like us NL guys, we take pride in trying to win and trying to prove that we're the better league. But I don't know what's being said about the AL.
It's tough because, you got two different sides of the spectrum there. Like two of the more talented guys on the American League. You got Grant Miller, older, family man, has a child he's raising, like not the easiest guy to get to the Meadows. Opposite end of the spectrum, you have RJ Walgate, who can't even drive yet, to my knowledge, who also has problems getting to the Meadows sometimes. So that doesn't play in your guys' favor. I will give you that much. But at the NL, we have a good time. We come ready to play, and it's usually a business trip for us, I think we could have won 3 in a row by a wide margin, and then the wheels fell off the bus a couple years ago. But it wasn't because of your management, Jack.
Thank you.
Not at all.
I appreciate that.
But it is a fun game to play in. It always pains me, though, as a player, because I usually start in the game and then get pulled early. And it's like, I want to keep going. Like, it's fun to get those at-bats in that environment. So
you feel like you're playing with house money in a 5-inning game.
Exactly.
You're like, if you play the whole game, you're like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah,
like, I batted so many times.
Yeah, it's so fun. So proud of the boys. The Eastern Eagles are unbelievable. I mean, we'll talk about that in a second. But Jordan, you pitched great. You mentioned the chatter. One comment I wanted to make is, I didn't really grasp the magnitude of the chatter until Kyle rolled the full at-bat of Andy Duran in that second inning where you took him 10 pitches, and every pitch you could hear people on the bench talking. Every pitch, I was like, dang, it was rowdy at the Meadows.
That was a great AB.
So that was cool. That was a good AB. Jordan won the battle, but it was a battle to the end.
I do remember, trying to get everybody involved who did show up there, and it was kind of between a couple guys who I was going to take out of the lineup to put Barron in, and Andy was one of those guys. And then it was that at bat that he had, and I was like, all right, I can't pull him after that. Like, I got to give him one more. So I think he got one more after that, and then I took him out. But yeah,
cool.
It was a good AB.
It's a great game, great showing. Jordan, you didn't homer this year, which is a bummer because you've been on the homer train. But
That broke the streak. Broke the streak.
You pitched great, so glad you got the W, I think.
The AL, I'm gonna have to, you know, I haven't really thought about the fact that the turnout, you know, could be the major difference. Like for us, I obviously realizing that Grant and RJ weren't there this year hurt, but it sounds like that's been maybe the case in a couple of years prior where we haven't had our best guys. So, you know,
Nick Saylor too. You know, he's another guy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put the word out. I'll say that, you know, I'm gonna do my best to make sure people show up that day.
Get Grant a babysitter, maybe.
Yeah. There you go.
Problem
I'll
solved.
go babysit him. I won't be in the game. So Grant, I
Virtually
know you're
managed.
listening to this. I will watch your child so you can play in the All-Star game next year so we can win. How about that? Does that work?
Love that. Solving problems over here.
Problem solved.
Solving problems.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Then you just got to send someone to pick up RJ also.
Yeah, right. I'll Uber RJ.
Actually, RJ, I think next year will have a license. He might even have one now. I think he just turned 16.
He might be. He's probably got to be in driver's ed training. Gosh, picture that kid getting in a car.
I was thinking that too. Like, it's going to be uncomfortable.
It'd be like,
that's
like
going to be
Shaq
rough.
in the Buick in that commercial where he's like the entire front seat.
I mean, he's uncomfortably. He's tall enough to the point where stuff like that becomes inconvenient.
Yeah,
like
that's
getting
the
in a car.
one thing. Being short is not great. You know, I would take the opposite pros and cons here that I'm going to give.
Right.
But I will say is that on airplanes, I'm usually okay, and I'm not usually uncomfortable in the back seat of a car. Like that's all I got going for me there. So at least there's some.
You can't knock that. It's worth something.
It's worth something.
It's worth something.
I don't appreciate that enough. I don't think. Because I have other people get in my car that are 6'5", and it's like they can't even sit.
Why are you so tall, man?
Yeah.
That's why.
Harper Ballman, like a Pat Ballman guy to really like hide or blend in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So
True.
But, all right, Jordan, we appreciate your time today. Congrats on a great first half again. It's been a pleasure to watch and play alongside you. And we'll get the bats cooking. We'll get it going. And we'll see what we can do here in the postseason. So we're going to make it. We're going to make it. Can't say otherwise.
I agree. Thank you for having me. Go Ducks. Wands up. And let's figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm ready to get Joe Boo. I'm ready to sacrifice a chicken, like create some explosions. Tommy, like, I don't know. I'm ready to do it. Whatever you think.
Let's make a pact here. We got to have a pipe it up World Series.
That's
It's
always
gotta
been the goal,
happen.
man. It's always been the
gotta
goal.
happen.
It's not out of question.
It'd be a great series, man. It would.
It would. But all right, Jordan, take it easy, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, new seating arrangement. We got a special guest in the house, PB.
How we doing?
I'm doing good. I had a canceled flight. I was in the Hotel Schultz, so glad to be on the pod.
On the flip side of the camera.
Yeah, no, it is a little weird because I'm like spending hours every week editing this very room, and then being on this side and under the bright lights is a little different for sure.
What's been the best part about editing the pod? What's been the worst part about editing the pod?
Oh man,
Truth only. We keep it real out
I
here.
did not expect this. The best part.
You didn't expect any questions?
No, just on the pod, I guess. No, I think the best part is getting a little bit of the inside scoop. Getting on. I mean, I was always a pod listener, so it's kind of similar, honestly. But I'm just getting it first. But and then the worst part, probably just the late nights sometimes editing. But that's with anything. I mean, some late night editing for sure. It's been done, but I enjoy it overall, so it's not too big of a deal.
What do you think, just to give the listeners like an idea, start to finish, like, you know, uploading, you know, very start of podcast editing activities to upload? How long does that take?
Yeah, my first time editing, it took a lot longer. It's getting better and better as it goes. But it's kind of just depends on the episode, but I'd say like 5 to 10 hours. Maybe again, it just depends on the episode. But
is that start to finish, like done, like just the actual edit, or like starting it to being like it's done, like it's in YouTube?
I guess if you count the rendering, it would probably be like 6 to 12 hours. But I would say editing, just sitting down, editing the whole podcast, usually about. If sometimes it's even sooner than 5, but I'd say 5 hours.
If that doesn't make you want to smash the like button and subscribe, then I don't know what will.
PB.
Come on, do it for him. Not for us. Do it for him.
I think I was pretty similar last year because we would wrap up recording at like 8. So then I'd usually go 8:30 to like 1:30. So that's 5 hours.
Yeah.
and then probably another 2 or 3 in the morning to get everything done. So I'd say like 8 hours ish. I'd say I could crank it out.
Yeah, I would get Snapchats from Tommy at like 2:30, 3 in the morning, being like, "We made it."
Well, dude, the worst part of that, Jack, was I'm not a caffeine guy. Never have been. I drink water, but because of the time crunch with the editing, I did have to turn to caffeine. So our neighbor here in Whitmore Lake, Michigan, he was a Celsius rep, like the energy drink. So he would give it to me for free, which was nice. But then, yeah, so I'd be like starting to feel it around like 10:15, 10:30, like I'm not gonna make it. So I'd crack a Celsius, drink half of that. Well, then I'm wired. I'm going.
Yeah.
Problem is, I finished around 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I lay down in bed and I'm just
sleep.
Like,
that's usually
next
how
thing
I
you know,
too.
it's 6:30 in the morning. It's like, dude, but I mean, it's all part of the greatness of it, you know.
Yeah.
So much fun. One more small tidbit about PB and the pod before we move on to the All-Star Game recap and the rest of the episode is, I think, Jack, I didn't tell you this, I don't think, but my favorite moment between PB taking over as the editor and me is when I was like still training PB. Now he's pretty much good to go, but like helping him with thumbnails and the edits and tips and stuff like that. We still go back and forth sometimes, but me and Jack had finished an episode down here recording, and then the phone was still rolling, and you're like, "Oh, how's it been going, PB?" And I'm like, "Going pretty good," but he's kind of struggling with thumbnails a little bit. And like I've told him this like 3 times, he's still messing it up, blah blah blah. Well, I forgot about that.
You didn't cut it.
Yeah, I didn't cut it. So then I get a text from PB at like 2 in the morning, like, "Yo, man, I'm so sorry." But I'm like, I'm like, you're so fine. You're so fine.
Oh,
like,
that's hilarious.
We're getting through it. But that was just a funny thing.
No, I mean, save you time. I mean, just told me right there. So it got me.
Hey, that's the most honest, direct feedback you're
exactly.
gonna get.
Yeah, fly on the wall in the room. But no matter what.
I always appreciate it
That's
when
funny.
people tell me just straight up. So even at the tournament this weekend, I was asking people like, "What should I change? Anything?" And
That's cool.
Yeah, and they
Did you get a lot of podcast love at the tournament?
I mean, it's funny. Even like back home, like I know who listens to the podcast because no one called me PB until
Really?
this podcast.
That's
no
funny.
one.
Yeah, we did that.
Hey,
So,
there we go.
So now,
There we go.
if I hear PB, I know they're
I
a
love it.
podcast listener.
I love
so
it.
it's good.
Do you like that nickname or no?
No, I enjoy it. I don't. Usually, my only nickname I ever had was like Pat or Patty.
Yeah.
So like PB's different. So I
PB.
like it.
I had a roommate that had the same initials, and like that was just like the go-to nickname.
Oh, really?
So it made like a lot of sense. Yeah, it made the most. It was like the first thing I thought of, honestly, when I saw his name.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Jack. All right. Well, cool. Glad to have you down here for today's episode. As we continue, any final comments on the All-Star Game? Like I said it to Jordan, I'll say it again. My final comment is that the Eagles are unbelievable.
Yep.
3 different players in the All-Star Game: Homer, Daniel, Dallas, Landon. I mean, they're on a tear, and we'll push through that one.
That was a good one.
And yeah, they're a good squad, and the NL just seems to be rolling right now.
Yeah. Norp's a machine. Made some, continues to just
Oh,
make
he's
unreal
unbelievable.
plays. I did think, I like the jerseys. I did like the jerseys.
Sounds like
I
there's a
will
butt
say,
coming.
but I will say, it's been a goal of mine to play in the All-Star game, like honestly for the sole reason, like to get one of those jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it very ironic that the one year I actually got a jersey, it was like highlighter pink, like not a shirt that I would otherwise buy or wear, or you know what I mean? Like I think it was good for the video.
Mm-hmm.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit bummed that was the color I got.
I'm trying to think. I think this is the 4th year we've done like the All-Star t-shirt jerseys. I think this is 4 years. We had navy and blue, then we did orange and blue, I think.
Yep.
Or sorry, navy and orange.
Yep.
No, navy and red. Then it was like
Yeah.
light blue and kind of a soft orange, highlighter
Yep.
orange.
It was like the tropics kind of.
Yep. And then it was black and white, and then it was pink and blue. I think I'd rank this, Jack. I'd say I'd give it second place. I think. I don't know. I like.
Really?
I like last. What's your favorite? You think?
I liked the orange and
Blue
one. Yeah.
See, I didn't love that one. Again, like I thought it looked pretty good on the field, but I don't love my orange shirt.
Right.
But I'm also like a picky, simple guy. I don't love those
Yeah.
bright colors. Like last year, my
I
shirt was
did
black,
like
which I
the
liked.
blue one better, and I liked the blue one in this better too.
I just feel like with the pink one, you're just making a real statement. If you wear that
Right.
out in public, it's like I had to wear it to the airport the other day because I had no other clothes, and I was like, oh man, I gotta
See, the
change
way
that.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't really wear one of my Moxies out to just like hang out, but like a t-shirt dry fit, like even though it's a jersey, I would think about, hey, maybe I would just like throw this on casually. The highlighter pink, I'm not going to do that with. Like I will hang it up and it's cool to have. I just won't wear that.
See, I think for me, I don't really like, I would never just like throw on and wear something that has my own last name and number on it personally. I'd maybe wear your all-star
even like
shirt.
around your house or like to work out or
no,
you're by yourself. I mean, it's just a shirt.
I mean, by yourself, sure, but like to work out, probably not.
No one knows that's your last name though. Like you're going to if you're going to like a public gym, it's not like, wow, that kid's like wearing his own.
I guess, but then
they're
it's like,
more likely to be like, whose jersey is that?
I guess, yeah. I fear that question of like, what jersey are you wearing? It's like, oh, it's mine. It's just like you're a loser.
Yeah, fair enough.
But nah, I mean, I like the look. The logo is cool. I like the drop shadow on the jersey this year. I don't know if you noticed the layers to the number, but I think that was pretty cool. Yeah. So I actually liked it. I think this was probably a top 2 for me of the last 4.
Okay.
But
okay.
Just my opinion. Everyone has their own opinion.
I wanted to give my honest feedback.
Yeah, we appreciate that around here. What was it like playing your first game? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it a lot. It's cool to see and kind of interact with some of the guys all across the league and not just the team you're playing that day. It was fun to be on the team with some of the guys who hit homers off you too. So that's always fun. But no, it's definitely a lot of pressure when you're going up there and you got like Landon, Jimmy, and Jordan back to back to back when you're on the mound. But it's a lot of fun. All the guys are a great time, and just even hang around people in the home run derby and stuff like that. So
the derby's a great time.
Yeah.
It's a great
Long
time.
day.
It's always it's a long day, but it's a good summer memory, throughout the years.
No doubt.
And last comment I'll make too is Caden, stay strong, my boy. You know you're my dog.
You got it.
Didn't have his best day.
It's all right.
But it's all right. We're past it.
It's all right, Chief.
It's all right,
Vibes,
Chief.
just vibes.
He's a vibe guy.
Just vibes.
And you know what? He didn't have his best stuff that day, but he took it like a champ, and he'll be back.
Yeah.
He
will be.
I think he told me, he's like, well, if I'm going to have a bad day, I prefer it to be today and not in a Cobra series.
That's fact.
He said
That's
that same day. I was like, you know what? You're probably right.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Even though I'm the manager, I agree with that.
you can respect a man who says it like
I mean,
it is.
I don't really, we kind of talked about it earlier, but there wasn't really much I could have done there from a management standpoint.
No, again, you were missing some of your best weapons probably. And, you guys left it all out there. Just
it was
the
cool
home
to
run ball killed you.
it was awesome to be a part of the game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I dissed the jerseys, but it was awesome to be like actually in the video, like part of the game. I want to actually make an all-star game like so bad.
We just need to
I think I've made one before. I don't know if I've made one. When did we start doing them?
I mean, forever. So your first year in the league, you might have been in one.
Stat Sean needs to tell me if I've ever been an all-star. I don't know if I've ever been one. I might have been. I feel like 2018 or 19 I had a really good year. There's no way I didn't make it. One of those years.
You probably
Sean will
did.
look it up.
This is my first year not making it, but oh well. PB took my spot, and it is what it is. Comment of the week on this year's All-Star game. And again, we keep it real around here. We keep it honest. This is a biased one, Jack. This is a biased one. I do pick the comment of the week. This one I had to pick. It came from a Padres fan account, and he had a timestamp 7/27 and said, "Bro, the voice crack is crazy." And it was not my voice crack. For once in my life.
Who are you throwing under the bus?
Mark Schultz. Mark knows I love him. But I was just like, hey, it's a voice crack comment that wasn't mine. But however, in the replies of that comment, it was like something about like Tommy C has never been happy or something like that. But so someone gave me a shout out. So I like how someone made a voice crack comment that wasn't about me.
Yeah, no, I was also looking in the comments. I don't know if you might have already touched on this, but the national anthem choice.
Oh, yeah, that was all the comments. It was about the national anthem.
It was all over.
The home run derby national anthem was obviously a big point in the media about a month ago now. So I thought it was pretty funny how Kyle utilized that as well. And it was funny for me too, because whenever right before the podcast, I always watch the video in 1.5x speed to get a quick refresher before I go talk about it again.
Yeah.
And so to hear that in 1.5x speed was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Just abysmally bad, but a great day at the Meadows nonetheless. So let's move now, Jack, into the slate for predictions. Waffle House Bet. PB's been keeping score for us. He's been following along at home.
What's the score right now?
17-16.
16, yep.
I lead it by 1 at the All-Star break. So that's 12 series down, 8 to go. And
I want to tell you guys, I'm getting so
game.
much pressure recently from my wife to win this bet. There's you know,
Now,
it's like a daily.
now what's the reasoning behind it? Because she's worried about your health, because she wants you to be home for the day.
I said, what's the big deal, basically? And she said, you're going to get sick and you have no idea how much that's actually going to cost. That's basically what she said. And I said, you wouldn't get it. It's for the content. It's for the kids.
I hadn't really thought about the cost of it, to be honest.
Well, I told her we were going to kind of do the, you know,
donation
fundraising, donation type thing to help try to curb.
Yeah.
Because it could get a little expensive.
How much does a waffle cost at Waffle House?
I was going to say, that's going to rack up quite the bill, I think.
It could rack up the bill.
I can't see it being more than $50.
Yeah, but it's like on waffles.
It's more the time, I guess, that I'm...
It's
the concern there, not the concern again, because I do want to attempt that at some point, or any food challenge for that matter, but it's more so like, yeah, you're going to do that, and that's going to be your Saturday or whatever, and then you're going to be in the trenches the entire next day about how sick you feel, and then it's like Monday morning. It's like, whoa. My weekend.
No, it's going to be a grind. I mean, not only do I have that looming over my head, but it's also like I have the daily pressure of like, you have to win this. You have to win this.
Mm-hmm.
So
we need to have Stat Sean do the numbies on the calorie count and all the carbs. That
you don't want to know that information.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Actually, yeah, it's probably better we don't look.
Yeah, but anyways, 1 point game at the break. Slate 4. Predictions coming up. Did get a little bit sloppy. You'll hear about why in a second. But, Jack, leading us off in Slate 4 is the Gators versus the Wildcats. Who do you got?
I'm going to go 2-1 Cats. I think the Gators are playing good ball. They're good enough to win one. I do think the Cats will, they'll get the best of the Gators. I just think they're a better all-around team. I'm not convicted enough to take... This one I thought about for a long time, but I just wasn't convicted enough to take the Gators.
Okay.
It's worth too many waffles, and the Wildcats I feel like is the safe play.
Jack.
I also feel like you're not going to pick the Gators.
Jack sent me a text when I sent him this series, and he's like, And I was like, what did I say? Something about how, like, dude, if you pick the Gators here, you're just asking to eat waffles.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
You might have talked me out of it, but yeah.
I also went 2-1 Cats here. I just feel like the Wildcats, the ball has been bouncing their way. They've been playing pretty good with football overall. And the Gators, I mean, they're a good team. Sawyer's a good pitcher. Adams has a lot of talent. But I think I've already said once, I think the Gators are going to win one game a series this year. Never get swept, but never win a series. So I'm taking 2-1 Cats as well, which leads us to a tiebreaker, Jack, which we have not yet established here. It's strikeouts.
Yep, strikeouts. Strikeouts over 40.5.
And guys, so Jack, we were like, what's the tiebreaker going to be here? And I was like, let's do strikeouts. Give me like a number. And Jack was like, I don't know, maybe 40.5 or so. Let's ask Sean. So I asked Sean to give us an average, and it ended up being 40.5.
Yeah,
so
hit the nail right on the head.
Jack
that was pretty good. I'll take the over. I'll pick on this. Do I get to pick on this one?
Sure, you can go over.
Okay,
so
I'll take the over.
I got the under then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We have the Cobras taking on the D-backs. This is a tough one for me. I was very tempted to go D-back sweep here, but the Cobras have just been finding a way to get the offense churning in every series. Caden's been throwing a little bit better, so I think they're going to sneak away with one here. I'll go 2-1 D-backs.
Yep. This isn't great because I'm losing, but hopefully I can get the tiebreaker here. I got 2-1 D-backs as well. The Cobras are hanging around. They're batting well enough to win two. I feel like they'll lose a heartbreaker. It's hard to go against Jimmy in anything and the D-backs, so I'm going to stick 2-1.
Although,
D-backs.
Jack, maybe we didn't think about it. This is a Cobras Redemption Series. They haven't played since the World Series.
That's true. So, that's a good call. They're going to be coming out with a vengeance.
They are for sure. 40.5 strikeouts. I thought about it before the pod. I'm going to go under on this one, Jack.
Okay.
Take the under.
All right, I'll take the over.
So, PB, write that down.
All right, got
you. Next, we have the Chicago Series. And it's the Preds versus the Magic. Jack,
yep.
You riding with the dogs? What do you got?
Yeah. We're gonna go 2-1 Magic for sure. I think
that's bold.
I think it'd be disrespectful to
Cratch hasn't lost yet.
If they didn't have Cratch on their team, I would say 3-0 Magic, but I just feel like it's disrespectful to him. So I'm gonna go 2-1 Magic.
Okay.
Gotta ride with my dogs.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a knack for showing up in the big series.
That's true.
I think the kids are gonna come out, loving RJ, loving Grant. We're gonna get the hype and take two.
You haven't lost an out-of-state event yet.
That's right.
Maybe I underestimated that a little bit, but Jack, you know me. I keep saying that, and I did kind of jab at you a little bit last time by picking a Mallard sweep, which is a little bit disrespectful. I'll be honest.
It was.
Here, it's just nothing against you. It's just Ryan Cratched.
Right.
I mean, he's phenomenal.
That's fair.
It's really hard for me to say that with Waffles on the line, it's hard for me to say, the Magic are going to beat Ryan with just the way your guys' offense has been.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 2-1 Preds. I think Cratch wins 2. You guys sneak away with game 2. And so we're different there. So there's some major points that can be swung in that series. That's big. It's a big one in Chicago.
That is implications.
A big one in the Windy City here in a few weeks, I must say. To wrap things up here in Slate 4, we have the Mallards taking on the Eagles. Now, this is where it gets a little hairy. And as Jack said, this is our whiff of the week this week.
This is our whiff of the week.
So, as you guys know, this is the part of the year where things kind of get majorly skewed between upload schedule and MLW schedule. So Jack and I had been texting on every game day, like, yo, today the Mallards are playing the Eagles. Who are you going to pick? So, we had our picks down. Well, that conversation did not happen for this series. Right. So I said, Jack, I was like, did we pick the Mallards Eagles? He's like, no, I didn't. Why? I was like, when's it? He's like, when's it happening? I was like, we're in game 2 right now. So we're going to have to scrap this one, guys. We're going to
scratch that one.
We got to scrap it for the integrity of the pod.
Yep.
But
it's a whiff.
Jack, let's just get, if they're curious, and it'd be a fun thing to look back on in case one of us gets a loss by a few points here. It could be like, oh, this is why we lost because of the series. So if we hadn't messed up scheduling, what would you have gone with, you think, in your gut?
I would have gone 2-1 Eagles. One, because, I mean, they're just a problem. We talked about that, all-star game. They're just all showing out. I think they are a better team than you guys right now. And then 2, just because you spited me when you went 3-0 Mallards sweep against the Magic. So that's why I'm picking them.
Yeah, that's fair. Not going to fault you for that. It's tough. We have not had a great... The Eagles seem to see Robles really well, right? So...
They're just good batters, in general.
Good. They're just really good. I mean, they hit the All-Star game pitchers well.
I feel like they won't swing at his,
inside two seams.
His inside two seams as much as other teams.
Yeah. So it's really hard to say what I would have honestly picked had we have discussed this before the game was played. But I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have picked a sweep on either side. It probably would have been 2-1 Mallards or 2-1 Eagles. For the sake of the parody of this discussion in a month from now, I'll say 2-1 Mallards.
Okay. That's fair.
That's what we got. So only 3 series in play here in Slate 4 due to Jack and I's lack of competency. However, we've already laid out Slate 5 well in advance, so we don't have any problems moving forward here. But 1-point game. PB anxiously watching along with the rest of the fans.
Ooh, it's going to be a close one. I've said a lot of people, even friends that just started listening to it because I edit the pod now, they've been saying, man, that Waffle House thing's actually really dope. So,
not for the loser. Not for the loser.
It's getting a lot of good feedback. So
good. That's good. All right, so it's time to get fuzzy now with fuzzy numbers, and as always, it is brought to you by our friends over at ShedBall. Although I shouldn't say as always because we didn't have fuzzy numbers last week, Jack.
We did not.
Where was Fuzzy Frank when we needed him the most?
MIA.
MIA, Frank.
Unplugged.
Just no word from Frank last week, but no. All jokes aside, this week's brought to you once again by our friends over at ShedBall, and talk to the commissioner Tim, who you guys hear from every week, who gives us the Fuzzy Frank rundown. And he said, no, there's no new videos from ShedBall recently, but sometimes the best things you have to wait for, just like a Lions playoff win, says
That's
Tim.
Right.
And I said, Tim, I couldn't agree with you more. It was worth every bit of a wait.
Absolutely.
So there are videos right now in production for ShedBall's latest season. Go check out their channel to see videos from seasons 1 and 2. And head over to ShedBall.com to register as a fan to be notified about any upcoming videos, events, and to be a part of that $1,000 contest that we mentioned before. So once again, that is ShedBall.com. ShedBall.com. All right, Frank, you're back. Let's see what you got.
Thanks, gentlemen. Tim Whalen, Commissioner of ShedBall. Yes, some things are worth the wait. ShedBall videos will be coming out as soon as I'm able to get them out on a little bit of a regular release schedule here, so I appreciate your patience. Anyway, back to fuzzy numbers. I asked Fuzzy Frank why he was MIA last week, and he said, why should he waste his time predicting that snooze fest of an all-star game? And so not sure if that's how it works, Frank, but that's what he told me. So Fuzzy Frank this week comes up with a prediction that the Wildcats win 2-1 against the Gators. He says the Gators just a little bit too inconsistent for his taste. He thinks they're a little too inconsistent to get the series. He does like Bean and thinks he's a real bright spot there with the Gators, but not enough to win the series. he is high on Kyle Schultz and maybe a little too high on him. When I asked him for a stat of the series, he said that Kyle Schultz was going to hit 2 homers. And I said, really? That seems like a bit of a stretch. And then he backed off. He said, well, he's going to get 2 multi-hit games. And so I'm like, well, hey, Frank, it was pretty easy to convince you here. So maybe Frank doesn't have as much of a backbone as we thought. But anyway, that's what he came up with. As far as next week goes, I am able to get Fuzzy Frank back on the calendar. We'll get him back in studio next week. So in the comments, if you have questions for Fuzzy Frank, or if Jack and Tom, you guys have questions about him, I know you had a lot of questions. He's a little too human-like for your comfort level. So if you have questions that you need answered, please let me know, and I'll pose them to Fuzzy Frank. Anyway, that was Fuzzy Numbers. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
It almost makes me wonder that he went 2-1 Cats just to win us back after being absent last week.
Right.
But I don't know. Questions for Frank. I want to know, does Frank have like an avatar? Like, does he identify as a person, or is he like strictly a robot?
Yeah, just like, is he just there? Is he just like a cloud?
Yeah.
Like, what is he?
Or like, is he in the metaverse, like walking around in the jeans and a t-shirt? You know, like that's what I want to know.
I feel like on every single podcast after Fuzzy Frank, you always, the first thing you say is like, I want to see Fuzzy Frank.
Yeah, I need
we gotta have it happen at some point.
Some sort of visual.
Every good computer needs an avatar of some sort.
I agree.
In my
An
opinion.
avatar. Yeah, I agree.
Although I do think of The Office when Dwight goes against the computer in sales, and that computer did not have an avatar. And that was still a legendary showdown.
Yes, it was. It was. I like his 2-1 pick. Obviously,
I do too.
Frank, I think you gotta. I mean, you gotta go with your gut, man. Be confident.
Yeah, I forgot
Kyle
about that.
Schultz could easily hit 2 home runs.
Well, I didn't
I've
know
seen
Frank
him do
could be
it before.
persuaded. Yeah, I didn't know the numbers could be persuaded via pushback.
That's crazy to me. I thought the numbers were the numbers, and Frank would say, you know what? No, that's the prediction. That's
I didn't know
what
Tim could influence Frank.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That shocked me there. That shocked me a little bit.
I agree. And also, he's like, maybe he's too high on Kyle Schultz. Can you be too high on Kyle Schultz? The guy's been playing this game for 15 years.
I mean, like, I thought he was going to say like something ridiculous. 2 home runs is not ridiculous. It's serious.
Very doable.
He did that in one inning, didn't he?
In fact, I might tail that. I might tail the 2 homers.
I think tail it. Tail it or fade it.
I'm tailing it.
You're going to tail it.
Tailing it.
The 2 homers.
Yes.
I like that too. I'll count that.
So I'm in agreement with Frank this week again. I think he's just trying to win me over, but glad to have him back nonetheless. Good to hear from Tim once again, and thank you again to ShedBall for sponsoring. But we are in agreement, Frank. And I just want to know, do you have an avatar? And then I want to know, Frank, how many waffles do you think Jack and I can eat in a day?
Oh, that's a great call.
What's the science behind that, Frank?
That is a great call.
Put that in the computer, Tim.
Yeah.
And see what happens there.
Yes.
So
good call.
we need an over-under on that.
Nice job,
on
Tommy.
that number. So, but it's going to be a great slate here. Because to me, like, Slate 4 really defines the drama that can ensue in Slate 5.
Right.
There's always a lot riding on Slate 4 for the entertainment value of Slate 5.
I would describe, for all you golf fans out there, Saturday, typically in a golf tournament, is what they would call moving day, right? Where it's guys, there can be drama to where guys move up into a position where they're potentially there to win on Sunday and or fall out where they're not really in a position to win on Sunday. When you get halfway through an MLW and the All-Star break, it's kind of like, all right, really anything can happen still, most seasons. And Slate 4, that series usually determines a lot, and a lot of drama typically does ensue. So it's always an exciting slate.
I think that's well said, Jack. I agree because, at this point, anything can happen. But depending on what happens in these next 4 weeks, then not everything can happen in theory.
True.
So... Look at
teams, sets the table for
you look at teams like the Gators who really could use some wins here to keep their name in the hunt. You yourself and the Wildcats are both trying to stay in the mix. Even the Cobras couldn't really afford to get swept here. So like a lot can happen. And even myself on the Mallards, like if we have a bad series here and the Gators beat the Cats, like whoa, all of a sudden we're on our heels.
Yep.
So this is I like the reference to the Saturday moving day of golf. Yep. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, like you guys said, like when Slate 4 happens, you always look at like the bottom of the barrel because that's really like that could be it for them. That's basically their Slate 5. So it's coming down to the wire, and I think it's gonna be a great showdown for sure.
Yeah, to keep things interesting in Slate 5, I definitely think that if you're like a impartial fan, you probably got to pull for the Gators to sneak away with a couple.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then you want the Magic to not do great, because then it sets up an electric Slate 5 match between you and the Wildcats for a spot in the playoffs,
True.
which is cool.
That's true. Yep.
On the NL side, again, the Gators doing well and the Mallards playing poorly would be exciting for Slate 5 as well. So that's kind of where you want to be. You want those numbers nice and tight.
Yep.
And both sides of the division near the bottom to make some late drama in the season. But I definitely think this is like where a lot of my favorite series are produced usually in years past is Slate 4, because again, it's where like you start to get in that like that atmosphere of postseason type wiffle ball, you know, that you don't really see in the first half of the season.
Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely it's always fun playing out there for sure. Some series seem more intense than others, but once you kind of get to this point in the season, you can definitely tell the intensity kind of ticks up a notch. So
yeah, 100%. And it starts to, you know, there's drama for a lot of reasons. Number one is like summer starts to wind down. You might see some more rain, some windy days.
Yep.
Like it even starts to get darker a little bit earlier, which creates some drama.
Scheduling gets harder.
Yep.
You know, some teams don't have all their guys, like, you know, conflicts. Like,
plus, like, we're doing like these tournaments and out-of-state events this time of the year, so like everything's jam-packed and it's chaos.
It's
chaos.
It's controlled chaos
in a beautiful way.
Yep.
So I think it's very fun. PB, first time playing these games here, a little bit of pressure on you. You excited?
Yeah, no, I feel like every series, like I feel like there's been some sort of pressure for every series that I played in. Like first one, you know, you're a little nervous.
Some pressure, yeah.
Yeah, because the first one, it's your first one, so you want to play good in front of the fans and whatnot. Second one was probably my least pressure because I did decent in my last game. I was like trying to keep that up. And then you play in Brooklyn, so you got fans there, so you want to play good in front of them. But I can definitely feel more and more pressure every time you go out there to win some games, especially because the Cats aren't doing as well as we should. So,
yeah, it's well said. Jack, back on the segment of us trying to help each other out here. I think we just got to hit the ball. That's my advice to you. Just go out there and hit it.
I like that.
Good luck in Chicago. Just go hit it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep. PB, just strike guys out.
that's the plan.
My advice to you. Just don't let them hit home runs off you.
Oh, yeah.
You've been a home run ball victim this year.
Yeah, I really have. Some guys are just hitting some nukes off of me for sure. But yeah, just trying to throw strikes and kind of mix it up more because I actually listened to what Sean said in the last pod about the stats about I throw too many in the zone. And I was actually telling Kyle that right after our last game. So definitely going to work on that. So thanks, Sean.
Cool. By the way, you played in Wiffle in the Mitten this past weekend.
I did.
How was it? 95 teams, I believe, right?
It was like you couldn't walk an inch without walking into someone else. It was crazy. It was so much fun. Getting to for the
T-shirt.
first time. Yeah, it was a great T-shirt. I was with the MLW all tall team.
So who was on the all tall team?
That's hilarious.
It was me, RJ, Caden, and Landon.
That's a tall crew.
Yeah,
that is a tall crew.
It was fun.
Who would be the MLW all small crew?
Warda.
Yeah, it's
Coughlin.
You think? Okay. That was quick. Jeez. I would have said a different name before that, I think.
Maybe Bien. He doesn't seem too tall.
I think he's shorter than I am.
Bonham, maybe?
Bonham.
Oh, Bonham's
Bonham
definitely
for sure.
Maybe those four right there.
Curdy's also not huge.
No, I think he's got me though by an inch.
Yeah. I feel like Waylon kind of grew, but he
grew.
Like he used to be really small, but he grew late.
That's like everyone's dream. Like, yeah, maybe I'll hit a late growth spurt. Literally, I think that
he
was
hit
19,
like the Anthony Davis
like
growth spurt.
5'9", 5'10". I'm like, what the heck happened?
He did. Dude? He's not really that
good
small
for him.
anymore.
Zach, congratulations.
Was there another one that I was missing?
I think you got maybe a Sean Flynn.
Sean. Yeah, sorry, Sean.
Sean, Warda, Tom, sure. Bean.
It's a good team.
It's a good little squad. No pun intended.
Good one.
You know who's not very tall that I just realized recently is Jimmy Norp. He's kind of my height.
Yeah.
I don't know why I pictured him in my head being a good 2 inches taller than I am.
He holds his elbow so high in the box. So
he gets that ball straight up extended as well.
Yep. That's why he looks taller on camera.
I'm trying to think if we get any other categories of like people based on traits. But we don't have like how many redheads do we have in MLW? Just Kyle? No way.
He's
just Kyle.
He's the only like true redhead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people have told me that I have like red hair, which I don't.
He's the only one.
Agree with
Johnny Bean.
Johnny Bean, bring back Johnny Bean. Wow, only one person with red hair in our league. That's crazy to me.
You could do like there's got to be like an all baseball team.
All lefty team?
all lefty team.
Flynn, Whalen,
Warda,
Zerlag,
Chadwick.
That'd be it, I think. That'd be a pretty cool squad.
Yeah, that would be a good
Southpaws.
You could switch hit.
That'd be a sweet name too, the Southpaws.
Southpaws.
Even though they don't all throw lefty, but it's still
No, they don't.
Switch hit.
Actually, most of them don't throw lefty. Chadwick doesn't. Warda doesn't.
Sean throw lefty?
Sean does throw lefty.
He does. And Zerlag does too. So there's a couple.
That's true. Half and half.
I think there's too many guys that play baseball.
Yeah.
You do MLW D1, maybe.
Do D1.
But have we had enough D1 guys though? You're one of the only people, I think.
Grant is Western D1.
Yeah, Grant's D1.
Was Rudy, was Wayne
D2 technically.
D2.
That might be it.
There's got to be more.
I
Well,
don't know.
you could bring back previous players.
Yeah,
Are we only talking current players?
I was talking current, but
Yeah.
maybe just college athletes then could be a category.
Is Ford still on a roster? Did he play in college?
No, he didn't play college sports. He went to Purdue. I had another idea though. Oh, how about hair? Long hair. Jimmy.
Depends.
Is there any others?
Depends. Like right now, I kind of have long
You got
hair
long hair right now,
but I've also had short hair.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough. We don't really have anybody in the category of Jimmy, do we?
Not that long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tried to put something out there.
We can think about this.
But
this
no.
could be maybe a good segment.
It is fun. I've always also wanted to. Now I'm not as good anymore, so it might not be quite as funny. But back when I was like a good pitcher and a good hitter, I always wanted to like sign up not with an MLW team to have some random team name with the hopes of people showing up like, oh, we have an easy game first game. Then it's like me and two other MLW guys.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? I always thought that'd be funny as well.
That would be good.
But all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. We got to keep it a little bit shorter for. Well, not shorter, but normal length for PB. And are you editing from here now?
I'll probably finish the whole thing tonight because I'll be in the airport
times.
tomorrow.
Just like old times.
Nice.
Yeah.
Classic.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, PB, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, it's great. It was kind of weird actually hearing you guys upstairs.
Yeah,
doing the pod. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna edit.
You probably
that later.
shouldn't. Yeah, you got to hear it twice. You might as well like, put headphones on so you have to hear the same thing twice. But no, glad to have you on. Glad to have Jordan on, of course. And thank you so much again for ShedBall for sponsoring. So thank you all for tuning in. I had to take 2 Advils today before recording, and we will see you all next week.
Pipe it up.